What's up, everybody? I'm Matt from Unlimited, and I am pleased to announce that on Friday, August 18th, the first ever Unlimited Marathon will take place. Now, if any of you are wondering what this is, it is just one big mishmash of videos. You guys have been complaining, and I'm sorry about this, that there hasn't really been a lot of content on this channel. Well, now there's going to be plenty of content on this channel because I'm done with all my commitments at school. I can finally announce, that I am a college graduate. I know, hold your congratulations, but I appreciate them anyway. But, Friday, August 18th, Unlimited Marathon. One big mishmash of videos. From 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., we're going to be posting one video every hour on the hour. So starting at 11 a.m. and ending at 11 p.m. It will culminate with a special 2-hour episode of the Unlimited podcast, which will talk about NXT TakeOver Brooklyn as well as the Summerslam pay-per-view. Since this is Summerslam weekend, we're obviously going to make the marathon Summerslam themed. So the videos you are going to see are going to be some reviews, are going to be a Summerslam themed Q&A, as well as 2 new episodes of Brett Litke's Home Improvement, and finally, and yes, I could really honestly say finally, the first 2 editions of the Unlimited Great Debate series. Now, the topics to those will be decided as the weeks go on, but a full schedule of everything that is going to take place during the Unlimited Marathon will be found in the description box down below. But just because there's a full schedule, that doesn't mean you can't get involved too. If you want to do something, if you want to make your own video talking about SummerSlam or NXT TakeOver, if you want to do a retro review, if you want to be involved in a Q&A, if you want to be involved in any video whatsoever, I'll add you on to the Unlimited Marathon schedule, I'm open to pretty much any ideas. So you guys can go to my personal Twitter, which is in the description box down below. You guys can message the Unlimited Facebook page on Facebook, clearly. Or you can comment down below in the comment section below this video. Whatever way you can reach me, whatever way you want to reach me, feel free to reach me. I always look for new content. I always look for new YouTubers. I always look for just new things because I like to expand. I don't like to do the same kind of video all the time. I like to have a little bit of variety, which is why you've seen a lot more of Brett Litke and a lot more of Walter Main and a lot more of Tyler Harper, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of them in the next couple of months, including on the Unlimited podcast the day of the marathon. Speaking of the Unlimited podcast tour will begin this Sunday, where Brett Litke and Tyler Harper will sit down to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Nashville Predators. That will begin a big, long list of Unlimited podcasts, and a full schedule of those will also be in the description box down below. So, August 18th, Unlimited Marathon SummerSlam Edition. The Unlimited Podcast Tour begins this Sunday, but for now, please enjoy this video. Well, howdy doody! And I can't believe I just said that. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of the Unlimited Q&A series here at the Unlimited YouTube channel, Unlimited Facebook page. If you want a question answered in a future Q&A video, go to the description box down below. All that information, as well as the information that I told you earlier about the Unlimited Marathon and the Unlimited Podcasts, everything will be in the description box down below, so just look that up and should be no problems. I'm going to be doing a Q&A every Friday. Every Friday you are going to get some sort of Q&A video from me going forward. On a personal note, though, before I get into this video, I mentioned a little bit earlier that I am indeed now a college graduate. I just graduated from LaSalle University this past weekend. I would like to thank all my professors, all of my friends, all of my family, all of you subscribers, whoever has been with me throughout this long but fun journey. I would like to say thank you on a personal note, and I'm very excited about the future to come. I have a job lined up in the summer, and from there, we'll see. Whatever door opens, I'll take it. It really doesn't matter to me at this point. But I would like to thank everybody for their support, their help, their assistance, their guidance. And now, let's just get to this wrestling Q&A. I haven't done one in a while, so let's see if I remember how to do this. I think I do, though. Let's hope so. We'll start with Brett Litke. And yes, I'm actually answering Brett Litke questions in a Q&A video. I think this is a miracle. How much potential does Nakamura really have in WWE, considering his age? Well, that's a good point. Because for everyone that's talking about this new era of the WWE, I think a lot of people fail to realize that AJ Styles and Nakamura aren't exactly the youngest guys on the roster, and neither is Bobby Roode or Austin Aries for that matter. So, it's a good question. Who's to say Nakamura goes 5 years or 6 years in the WWE? Maybe he only goes 2 years. Maybe he only goes 3 years. Maybe he doesn't even last a full year. From here going forward, I don't mean overall. But it's a good question. I don't really see huge things out of Nakamura. I really don't. It's not that I don't like him, I just don't see it. But I guess we'll see. That's a really damn good question. How are we expected to take a pay-per-view like Great Balls of Fire seriously? Very simple. You don't. I don't. You don't. I don't think anyone does. I don't know how anyone can. What is the fate of 205 Live at this point? It's probably just going to stay the same mediocre show that doesn't have anyone stand out whatsoever for the time being. At this point, the only way to save it is to just cancel it. That's pretty much it. Has the move to SmackDown hurt or helped Charlotte, both in the short and long term? Well, I think it's helped her in a couple of ways. First of all, she gets to be a little bit more edgy. She gets to have a little bit more leeway, a little bit more freedom on the microphone. I feel like SmackDown has become sort of the shoot-style show where a lot of promos you see are shoot promos, and a lot of promos you see truly come from the heart. I also think that it gives her some different competition, so she's not wrestling the same people like Bayley and Sasha Banks the entire time. It gives her some freedom in that as well. Of course, WWE decided to pretty much ruin all of her momentum as a heel by turning her babyface for no reason. So that first point that I made about her having a little bit more freedom and a little bit more leeway on the microphone, I'm pretty much convinced that that's all gone now because she's a babyface. Of course, the WWE, even when they finally do something I think could be beneficial and I think could be the right move, they decide to screw it up. So what a surprise there. Jinder Mahal brings up a curious line of thought. Is it worth it to book a guy to win a title, even though they had been irrelevant for years, just for the sake of surprise? I could see why it would be, and I could see why it wouldn't be. In Jinder Mahal's case, I think WWE has always seen something in him, especially considering that if they want to try and reach that Indian market of 1.3 million or 1.3, I don't remember how many people, but I know it's a huge amount living in India. If they want to try and reach that market, a guy like Jinder Mahal could be a good way to go. Is it worth it because he's been a jobber for years? I mean, to be fair, Bray Wyatt's been a jobber for years. In fact, longer than Jinder Mahal has been. Honestly, I mean, ever since Cena in 2014, Bray Wyatt has pretty much been a jobber, and he became a champion. So if there's no problem with him doing it, I don't see an issue with Jinder doing it. I really, really don't. Plus, I think that the WWE has more business potential with Jinder than with a Bray Wyatt. I really, really do. Walter Main. Should WWE make a 20-man tag team championship? No. I'll just keep it at that. At Great Balls of Fire, should someone come out literally on fire to keep with the name? Honestly, there's got to be something that can help that pay-per-view. Because it's looking to be a total disaster. And there hasn't even been a card announced yet. I mean, honestly, with a name like that, how can it not be a disaster? I don't get it. Who would you have win the Fatal 5-Way, and who would you have take the fall? Is there any way to win with who takes the fall due to the fact that all guys need to be winning? Great question. I think the WWE is going to go the Finn Balor route, and I'm not really a big fan of that. And I think that Bray Wyatt is ultimately going to be the one that takes the fall. Because really, is Roman Reigns going to take the fall? I mean, come on. Let's be real here. Seth Rollins, with all the momentum he's had, is he going to take the fall? No. Samoa Joe, he's another option that could take the fall. But I also think that when you look at the potential matches for Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe, I think, should be saved for bigger events and not just a throwaway B show, or in this case, a C- show. So I don't see Joe winning. I don't see Reigns winning. Frankly, I don't really see Rollins winning. I don't see a reason for Bray to win. Because you're going to have the guy that loses every feud and have him face Brock. Because that's going to go well, right? It looks like they're going to go the Finn Balor route. And you can even see it, and I actually watched this part of Raw. You can really see that they're going this way because the only person that Paul Heyman came out to address was Finn Balor. What does that tell you? That tells you that they're going with him. I mean, unless he comes out on Raw this Monday and talks to somebody else, talks to maybe Rollins or Joe. But if if Paul Heyman is making a big deal over Finn Balor, you know Finn Balor's winning. But to answer your question, who would I have win? Quite frankly, I wouldn't have the match. I really just would not have the match. I think that Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe should continue to be its own feud. Quite frankly, I think Finn should be doing something else. I mean, can the guy be on the main roster for a solid 6 months before you immediately rush him to the title? I mean, for crying out loud, he won the title in a month. And you people are complaining that it took Roman Reigns 2 years to win a belt. But because it's Finn Balor, it's fine, right? Give me a break. But yeah, Finn Balor is probably going to wind up winning. Other than that, I don't see a reason to have this match. I really, really don't. And quite frankly, I don't really see a reason for Brock to defend his title at that pay-per-view. Just saying. If Ambrose loses the IC title by DQ, will it be the worst title win ever? No, because Christian won it in the same way. And Christian won the world title in the same way. So if a world title changed hands via DQ, that's easily worse than the IC title changing via DQ. At this point, the IC belt is irrelevant anyway. And it's been irrelevant for years. Unless the Miz carries it. And, of course, they're going to go back to the Miz route here, which I have a problem with, because at some point you're going to have to do something different with this guy. I love the Miz, and I think that the IC title, him being in that division, him holding it, is good for him, but he can always do more. And there's going to come a point where they need to do something different with him. Just saying. Would WWE ruin Okada? I don't know. I mean, I'm still waiting for them to ruin Nakamura. So, since they haven't, I'm going to say, in theory, no, they wouldn't, but I also am not too confident. And you shouldn't be either. Matthew Mullins, who's winning the 2017 Money in the Bank ladder match? That's a damn good question. Usually when a new year comes around, I immediately look at all these pay-per-views and I assess like who's going to win what and who's going to win the Rumble and who's going to main event Mania and then who's going to win Money in the Bank. Those are usually the three biggest questions going into a new year. And I think for the first time in a long time, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think that Money in the Bank should be a SmackDown show, that for starters. I think it should be a dual-branded show. And I think if you wanted to have Brock defend the title, that should be where he does it, at a dual-branded Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I honestly think that, and even though I still miss Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, if you are going to make Money in the Bank its own pay-per-view, then that should be a Big Four pay-per-view. Or hell, if you want to add it on to the pay-per-view schedule and make it a Big Five pay-per-view, whatever the case may be, I think that should be a big deal. Because when a superstar wins the briefcase, they become someone. For the most part, they become a big part of your show. You build a lot around them. So I personally think that should be a Big Five pay-per-view. But in terms of your question, looking at the SmackDown roster, asking who's going to win Money in the Bank, I really do not know. I really do not know. And I wish I knew, but I don't. Sorry, I just don't. Should the women's division on both Raw and SmackDown have a mid-card title or a tag team title? God, no. God freaking no. How about we get rid of some of the titles that we already have before I even consider adding another women's belt? We already have a women's belt for both shows. What more do you need? Plus, the roster of women isn't exactly big enough to have a women's tag team championship or a women's mid-card belt. It's just not big enough. Plain and simple. And Brian Collinari, thoughts on the rumored women's Money in the Bank match and who should win? Now, that's a match I think should happen. I don't think adding titles to the women's division is right. I think that there should be more, like a women's Money in the Bank match, a mini women's Rumble match. I've been advocating for that. I think, personally, there should be more women's ladder matches. I liked the idea of putting the women inside Hell in a Cell. Why not do that again? Or hell, if you're going to do Elimination Chamber again, how about a women's Elimination Chamber? And since you already redesigned the structure in such a stupid way, I think now could be the good time to put them in there. Because let's face it, some of these women, and Charlotte especially, are a bit reckless and are a bit botchy and choppy. So if you're going to put them in a chamber match, now's the time to do it, because the chamber match pretty much looks like a children's ball pit with all the protection. Yeah, if that's actually going to happen, I'm all for it. It's different, but it should have happened a long time ago. Just saying. Thank you all for submitting questions for this Q&A. I think for now, I'm going to keep these unthemed, and you guys can just ask general wrestling questions if you want. Eventually, I'll set up a theme for it. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for the patience in the intro to this video. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for disliking. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for pretty much everything. I'll be back with more great content. See you later.